The ceiling above you is moving, not stone. Bodies, 1,000 of them, waiting in black. You lift a burning branch. The dark detonates into feathers and screaming air. Your hand closes around something warm before it understands it should run. Between 1988 and 2009, lions killed and ate hundreds of people across Tanzania, most caught within 2 hours of sunset. So why hunt inside the window built to kill you? In 2021, researcher Guillermo Blanco and paleoornithologist Antonio Sánchez-Marco tried to answer that question with their own bodies. They spent years crawling into Spanish caves at night, carrying nothing but hand lamps, to physically recreate how Neanderthals may have hunted the birds that roosted there in the dark. Across nearly 300 attempts, at 70 separate cave sites, they caught over 5,000 roosting birds, by hand, in total darkness. No spear, no bow, no blade. Just light, and the fact that these birds had never evolved a defense against it. Translate that into human terms. An animal that could outfly, outsee, and outmaneuver you in daylight became catchable the moment the sun went down, because darkness didn't just hide the hunter from the prey, it disabled the prey's own senses. That single flip, danger quietly becoming opportunity, is the hinge this entire story turns on. Consider the torch first. It wasn't a light source. It was a weapon aimed at the eyes. A sudden flame in a pitch-black cave overwhelms low-light vision so completely that birds fly toward the fire instead of away from it, straight into waiting hands. Evidence for it survives at Gorham's Cave in Gibraltar and Riparo Fumane in Italy, in burn marks and cut bone tens of thousands of years old. Consider next the bone plaque found at Aubry-Blanchard in France, nearly 30,000 years old, its surface covered in small, deliberate notches. This wasn't decoration. It was a lunar calculator, a way to track a 29-day cycle without trusting memory alone, so a hunter would know, days in advance, which nights would be lit and which would be lethal. Scholars still argue over how much it actually tracked, but almost none doubt the moon mattered that much. And consider the plain wooden stick, wedged across a narrow cave passage. It wasn't a fence. It was a trap's final jaw, turning a bird's one instinct, flee toward the only exit, into the exact reason it got caught. Picture the entrance. Low, narrow, black as a closed eye. You go in bent double, one hand on cold rock, the other cupped around a flame that is your only reason you're not blind. The air smells of ash, feathers, and something older, mineral, wet stone. Above you, silence, not empty silence, occupied silence. Hundreds of small bodies pressed into every ledge and crack, asleep, unaware. You raise the torch. The reaction is instant and total. Chose, a cave-dwelling relative of the crow, don't scatter into the dark the way logic says they should. Their eyes, built for almost no light, are suddenly flooded with more of it than they've ever processed. The result isn't escape. It's confusion. Panicked wings beat toward the fire, not from it. This is the exploit, a nervous system with no evolved answer for a threat that glows. You are not alone in the chamber. This kind of hunt takes hands, plural, working blind by feel, one holding the light, others grabbing, others blocking the low exit with sticks or nets so nothing slips past in the chaos. Coordination in zero visibility. That takes memory of the cave's shape, trust in people you cannot see, and timing. A bird brushes your face. You grab. Feathers, heat, a frantic pulse against your palm. Outside, hours earlier, someone checked the sky. A near full moon means enough light to walk safely between camp and cave without stepping into something with teeth. A thin, waning sliver means the opposite. The same darkness that hides birds from you also hides you from lions, and lions are hungriest and most dangerous in exactly those darkest, moonless weeks. That calculation, moon phase weighed against risk, wasn't guesswork. It was tracked, likely on bone, likely across years, by people who understood that light itself was a resource, one you had to budget before you ever reached the cave mouth. Get the calculation wrong, and the hunt that fed you could just as easily end with you being fed on. By the time the flame gutter's low, the ash on your hands has mixed with blood and down. This wasn't clean. It was never meant to be. It was math. played out in claws and feathers, with your life as one of the variables. The trade-off began roughly 400,000 years ago. The point researchers place humanity's reliable control of fire. Before that, people lived nearly half their lives in genuine darkness, reading moon phase and shadow the way you read a clock. What got lost wasn't vague. It was specific. The ability to calculate, without instruments, exactly how dangerous a given night would be, and to hunt inside that calculation instead of hiding from it. Fire replaced the skill with a shortcut. Oil lamps replaced fire. Electricity replaced all of it, so completely that even candlelit generations were still more fluent in real darkness than anyone alive today, a skill quietly erased across thousands of ordinary nights. Not one dramatic loss, but a slow withdrawal nobody noticed happening. You reach for a switch. They read a sky. You called darkness an inconvenience. They called it a variable, one they could calculate, exploit, and survive inside. You have never once needed to know what phase the moon is in to stay alive tonight. They built calendars out of bone because their lives depended on knowing exactly that. You sleep through the hours they hunted in, fought in, and sometimes died in. The dark didn't disappear. You just stopped needing to understand it, and something in you still remembers being afraid of that. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only, based on historical and scientific research. It is not a survival or wildlife guide. Do not attempt to replicate any content shown.